Okay. Now, I didn't really get time to do a build video, but what I thought I would do is a video that at least shows you how the pieces go together that make up this Delta PAK FA. Here's the main wing, which, as you can see, has a couple of interesting score folds on it. One of them is this forward part of the fuse, and the other one is the one you're more familiar with on my other models, the one that bends here. So that's the main wing, and here's the nacelle piece. You have the fuse top, you have, or fuse cap I should say, then you have the fuse top, and it has a reverse score fold that allows it to allows this upper portion to bend up like this. So you cut it from the back side, each piece, and bend that up and reinforce this side with tape, and that gets you towards the upper part of the fuse, and then this cap goes in here like this. Then you've got the lower fuse, which I'll show you that in a moment, but that basically comes along the bottom here and stops up here at the point of the nose. But anyway, and then of course we got the airfoil, and this actually has two pieces. This is the elevon, the main piece, and then to kind of help the total looks of the thing, I have made another little piece that inserts in here at an angle. It's supposed to be at an angle about like that, lining up with the rudder, and then you bevel it so that when the elevon tips up, it clears the rudder. But that goes on there like that, and that's your control surface. Right there like that. Perfect. Okay, now then, how does this go together? Okay, you would cut out your two main wing sections and then join them together, you know, edge to edge, these two surfaces right all the way back. What I typically do is I tape this front side together, lining up these points, making sure all that matches up, and that it matches up there on one side. Two pieces together, right? And I fold it over like this so that I end up with an edge. You know, these two pieces, right? With an edge here, and I put hot glue down that, and I bring it back up like this, butt together on a flat surface. Make sure it's a nice flat, clean surface. And then take another piece of tape and go down that center between the two pieces, and that holds this back together. And that's your registration. That's your true center line of the plane. And all this up here then works. This has to happen first so that all that in front lines up, as you saw in my similar to the my F-22 build video and also my flanker build video. Anyway, then these pieces same way. Here's your registration line here, and you've got some notches here and here on this that receive these tabs. This receives the tab here. You'll see that in a moment. Anyway, and you've got a score fold here that you reinforce the backside with tape, and then this piece is just to reinforce this skirt, and it just glues back up the edge. I tend to glue it along this edge here and just fasten it to the side, and that gives me the shape I want and the strength I want for this skirt. Now, assuming these are two together, you would lay the two I lay the two parts together like this, and then at the back here I push this rudder back a little bit. Be careful because you can break this if you're not careful. And slide those over each side, and then just gently work that into its slot here until it stops there. And then you can come around here and ease this tab back over into that slot, and then come on the back side here and do the same thing. Now you should have two pieces. These will be, of course, The other mirror of that would be there. Then these tabs on this back corner, this back end, they come from the other side, they come together here. The front tab goes in this slot here. And so that's now, with the angle correct, that's half the plane. As you can see, let me get back out of the way here so you can see it. There's half your plane. There are fuse bottom, I showed you a moment ago. It will come in here and just butts up there like that. And then that just stitches to this all the way down and around the end here. Like that. Comes right up on the, comes down the end and comes right up on the tip. Let's see. Anyway, that's that. The upper fuse, you see there's a notch here. And that notch fits in right there. And this just travels right along the edge here. And you just basically fold that back, put a bead of glue in here. Nice healthy bead of glue I use. And to set that piece on there. Sometimes I use tape to hold this back here as I'm doing it, so it doesn't pop out. And this literally, then this shape causes it to bend around. And that goes on. Now what you might want to do, before you put that on, there like that though, is actually attach, put these two halves together along these lines here. So you have another one, just reverse this, right? And then take your fuse cap, put that in there. And it ends up just shy of the end, because this is all that kind of pinches together down there anyway. But there you go. Put that together, but don't glue it, just tape it, dry tape it together so it allows everything to flex. And then you're going to want to have a little bit of glue, bend that a little bit, as you can see as it goes together, and just put a little bit of glue down the inside of that piece. And then also I like to bevel this top edge to mate up with this. Anyway, that'll go on the top, and that goes on the bottom. This sits right in there. Sits right in that fold, all the way back to there, and all the way forward. What I usually do is I tape it at this end, here, down around the edge of the wing to hold it, the top slot, and then come back here with a nice wide piece, come back right to here, and tape around the corner. So that holds those 2 points and holds it into the glue here, and then I can also add another bead of glue down along there. As you can see, this is the joint you end up with, which is very nice. This all fits right inside there and comes right on up. As you can see, I got the piece of tape here to kind of hold that together, and I glue it. Now sometimes I'll go ahead and bevel, at least bevel this edge here, not the straight part, but where it starts to turn out across this nose here. It's helpful if that's beveled. Bevel back that way, so it gives you a little bit more surface area to put that on. Anyway, it goes together that simply. And you end up, as you can see, this part bends outward. This little piece here, as you're looking at it, that we bend up, that bends back and receives this front. Bends back and receives. Hang on a second, let me get the angle so you can see it right here. Yeah, this bends back, and the main part of the fuse coming in is there's a crease running right along here. So it lets that bend outward, and then it joins up with the edge of the thing. This one's been got banged around a bit. In fact, I got to do some repair. It split here today when I was flying. So anyway, minor stuff. Very quickly, one more thing I wanted to point out on this. Building it. I'll show you right here. If you can see it or not. I really can't see it. There's a foam bulkhead right up in here, which actually sits right here at this joint where the leading edge of the extension hits the fuselage. And it is in that cross-sectional shape of the plane right there, and it helps hold this width, which should end up around like 5.5 inches, give or take. I'll get that on there. Yeah, right about 5.5 inches, right across there. So that I make out of, well, you can use, you know, a piece of foam if you want to. I like to use, like this piece I cut out of a piece like this. It's a foam packing, and I just cut it to match all that, and it blocks the battery from traveling through, and if there's a crash, that kind of thing, minimizes the damage from small bumps and such. Anyway, helps hold that shape a little bit. It'll work. I mean, you can hold it temporarily with tape or something too, and not put it in there, but I like to put it in there because it solidifies the whole thing and helps it structurally. You'll find your center of gravity works out to be around 7 to 8 inches, depending on your preference here, but no more than 9.5. But right in here is a good place. And 7 to 8 inches back from the joint of the root of the wing here. Right there after the extension, just that bang. And that's a good point of balance. I usually, what I do, make the hatch long like that. I cut it too short, so I made it bigger and taped it together, glued it together. You can see inside here I have wires coming through from the speed control. Here are the wires coming from the servos, and I've got a little piece of foam here so I can keep the servo and the receiver back up in here. And then I've got some other foam here that I used to, or some other Velcro here that I used to hold the battery down, and I've experimented. Usually I put the battery right about the end of the battery is on this seam. So if you're looking at the bottom of the plane, for instance, it's right there at that joint between the forward part of the bottom part of the fuse and the pan of the nacelles. It's about where the end of the battery goes. That is the aft end. It's not a bad location. It seems to balance very well there with that way. And I'm using this particular model. I have the Grayson Hobby. See if I can get that in the light for you to see it good. Grayson Hobby's Supersonic. Is it down there? Yeah, there it is. Supersonic motor. Now I'm using a 6x4 prop. I have one 5mm carbon tube, and I used a little bit of glue here to help hold it down because it needed it. But normally I just tape it down. It's easier to get out. But now the other thing you have that's peculiar to this plane is this way this wing arches like it does, the shape. If you have to put some carbon in the pan of the nacelle to stiffen the bottom pan in two places so that you can bend the upper foam between the fuse and the nacelle. So what I've got here inside, you see it inside the nacelle, I have a piece of carbon here, right at the front. Lines up with this corner and runs across. And that, there you can see my speed control and there in the airstream. And that helps stiffen this at the front. And then, at the back, I've done the same thing. You can see, around me. Yeah, I'll come to this way. You can see there is another piece of carbon right here. It runs all the way across, right under the motor mount. I also, while we're right here, I put a triangular, or I cut a piece the shape of this back end here that I know just glue the motor mount to it. Kind of like a foam firewall. And fasten the motor mount to it and get it all lined up. That seems to work best for me. Anyway, so there's basically, like I said, 3 carbon rods. And those forward ones I use number 3 is adequate for it. Let's take any more than that. And a 5 across the back. And I just use some tape the hinges on, and I've got 2 servos. You can see I did some damage today, but 2 servos, back to some Great Plains nylon horns to hold them on. And that's how it flies. Very simply, very, very nicely. And so, without actually building it, I just walked you through how to put one together. And that's a wrap.